Bangalore, University Bangalore. Ma'am has got a long biodata here. Wonderful person here. Today we are the opportunity to have ma'am here. I would like everybody to give a big round of applause for the most busiest person, and she has given her time for us today. And thank you very much, ma'am, here. And welcome our director, Dr. Shakti Singh Chauhan, Dr. Manoj Kumar Dhruvi, Joint Director at Triti Bangalore, all the staff, trainees, and all our staff who have joined through WebEx and YouTube channel. Thank you very much for being here. A warm welcome to all of you on this World Environment Day. Well, we all know to realize what impact on the environment is being made by our activities. It seeks to make people more aware and protective towards the environment. With this concept, a long back, a World Environment Day has been initiated and celebrated on June 5th. And this year, the theme is Only One Earth, by the Sweden country, which has been coined, which conveys the message, living sustainably in harmony with nature. Let us proceed the program by invoking God's grace. Thank you very much. Please have your seat. This is a day to make people more accountable for this environmental damages that we are doing to make more responsible towards environment. And this is possible only when we as an individual, along with the government, make collective effort to preserve the environment. To accomplish these things, we should not only believe but also act, not only plan but also execute. May I request our Director, Dr. Shakti Singh Chauhan, to please deliver a welcome address.
A very good morning to all of you. And at the outset, I extend a very, very warm welcome to Professor for accepting our invitation and for delivering a lecture here on today's theme, Only One Earth, Living Sustainably in Harmony with Nature. Madam, I extend you a very, very warm welcome for this occasion. And we all know the importance of environment in our life. In fact, our existence totally depends on the environment, and it is our duty. It's being the citizens, being the human beings, it is our responsibility, it is our duty that we keep our environment healthy. And if the environment is healthy, obviously we are going to secure our future generations. We are also going to have a good healthy life, that is what is required these days. I wouldn't like to speak too much because we all are looking forward to hear from the madam. With these words, I welcome madam to APRITI on this World Environment Day 2022. Thank you very much.
So, yeah.
And the pot is made out of composite material, which is having bamboo and polymer.
Dr. Nandini Yan, the professor and principal investigator in the Department of Environmental Science, Bangalore University, having teaching and research experience of about 34 years. She is the member and chairperson for subject expert of the committee in the environmental science constituted by Government of Karnataka for implementation of national education policy. She is serving as a member of expert appraisal committee, thermal and coal mining project. She is also the ex-member of ESC Industries through Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. She is a member for Laboratory Committee, Karnataka State Pollution Control Board, Government of Karnataka. She is ex-member of Court and Executive Council of the Central University of Hyderabad and Central University of Andhra Pradesh, Anantapur. She has implemented and supervised 12 research projects funded by various funding agencies like UGC, CPCB, SPCB, AMPRI, BTA, CREDI, etc. She is also involved in the preparation of People Diversity Register of Bangalore Urban in the year 2009. Currently, she is a principal investigator for environmental monitoring, ambient air quality, groundwater quality, and noise level at 6 regions of Bangalore Metro Phase 2. She is investigator for National Air Quality Monitoring sanctioned by Central Pollution Control Board, Government and Karnataka State Pollution Control Board. She has guided about 20 PhD scholars, 6 MPhil students to complete their degrees. She evaluated more than 60 PhD theses for various universities across India. She, who has published 100 research papers and 13 books, including environmental science textbooks for undergraduate and postgraduate courses. She has got many manuals on sampling and analysis of waterways and municipal solid waste. She has conducted many training manuals on water resource management in rural regions and management of emerging environmental issues. She is a peer reviewer of 2 international journals and she has got more than 50 articles and talks which has been published in popular magazines, daily newspapers, TV and radio. She has organized and delivered many invited talks in more than 100 international and national seminars, conferences, workshops, and seminars as a resource person, etc., across India. It's nice to read your CV, ma'am. Very nice. She has achieved and accomplished many awards as a Best Scientist Award from ETCRS, which is the India's largest research and branding company. Women Researcher Award, she has been presented as the first International Scientist Award on Engineering, Science and Medicine. She has a Good Professional Association and Excellency Award by Union of Geographic Information Technologies. She has also been got award Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Teaching and Scientific Research Excellence from Marina Labs Research Development, Chennai. She has also been accomplished with Best Citizens of India Award from International Publishing House, Onake Obawa from Light Mind Service Association, Karnataka, for the outstanding performance in academics. It's my proud privilege to read your CV and to have you as the chief guest, the woman who is known to bring innovative changes, a true environmentalist. May I request Dr. Nandini to please deliver a talk and give us a lecture and presentation living sustainably in harmony with nature.
Presentation?
Yeah. Yeah, because madam, we are also online.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes.
so a lot of people have joined us online also.
Okay. Good morning to all of you. uh, the director of this institute, deputy director, scientists, teachers, professors, and dear students. I'm really feeling great to have been here because I heard a few minutes of discussion with the director and the deputy director about the research that is going on here. And that research, what they were explaining in a short period of time, just 2-3 minutes, I think, is really worth, and it is leading to some of the best practice and the green initiative for our country. So with this small introduction, I would like to wish you all the Happy World Environment Day. So we all are now going to head towards living sustainably with the nature. So is it possible? But still we have to try. So I just thought that I will share my experience, my research experience with all of you in various fields, various areas where you can concentrate on bringing harmony with the nature, and where all we can contribute as an individual. What is our role? So shall I start my presentation? Next slide, please.
You can move on.
Next slide. Yeah.
ये रिमोट का लगाया और
Yeah. So as you all know that our cities are growing very fast. Urbanization. So there are so many challenges that we are facing. The first challenge for a city like, say, for example, Bangalore. Bengaluru, I have done some research about carrying capacity. So let me give the example Bengaluru and show the slides. Next slide, please. Yeah. So as you all know, because you're all living here, you know how Bengaluru is growing, because I am born and brought up here, and I have seen from the past 50 years what has happened to Bengaluru, and the green pentagon shaped Bangalore in Google, if you see, it's a green pentagon, it was, and now that green has slowly changed to brown, almost brown. So that we will see why, how. Next slide. Next slide. Yes. So these are the challenges that we are facing in cities like Bangalore, and how it is having the impact on regional climate. Urbanization and increased population is one major challenge. Water bodies. You know, Bangalore is known for, it is named called as City of Lakes, with 2,000 odd lakes prior to 1920s. But then by 1960s, that number from 2000 reduced. And by 1985, we were left with only 36 lakes. So from 2000 to 36 lakes, water bodies, and we have two major rivers. And that major rivers, what has happened to it, I will show you in the next slides. And because the population has increased, municipal solid waste generation. The generation of municipal solid waste is another very big challenge that we are facing. And I know how the agricultural waste is being managed by your institute, that research that is going on. I am very keen to know about it, and because that's a very big challenge, and I think we have to show more interest in that line. And ambient air quality, all of us suffered the last 2 years. And what is happening to our ambient air quality, the air that we are breathing, what is the quality of that air? And another very important is loss of biodiversity in Bangalore. We have lost so many species, either in aquatic or land species, and the loss of forest area, degradation, all that I will just run the slides and just bring a glimpse of what has happened. And the technologies that we have invented or worked on, and what we are doing a little bit contribution to the environment. Next slide. I can do it. Yeah, so carrying capacity, this concept, it's, the carrying capacity of Bengaluru is lost long back. Say, for example, this auditorium, this hall, the capacity is, according to me, will be, say, 50 to 75. 50, you are very comfortable. And if it crosses 1,000, what will happen to this carrying capacity of this room? This is the problem that we are facing in Bangalore. I will go to that carrying capacity with respect to population.
It was not shading, we are just shading everything. Yes, ma'am. Just 1 second. Is it okay, Uday? Yes, ma'am. Now you can continue.
Yeah, so this also not moving. I don't know where to press. Yeah, so the carrying capacity of Bengaluru is lost. I gave an example also. And now let's see the population with respect to population increase. So while introducing, Professor introduced one of my activity as People's Biodiversity Register. So we prepared a People Biodiversity Register in the year 2009 of the entire Bangalore city, where the attitude of people, knowledge, attitude, and their perception about the environment, about the diversity, about the population, about the climate. So that in their perception, knowledge, we found that Bengaluru, which was growing, sprawling, the original residents, are between 37 and 40% only. And then, because it is a city with business hub, education, so there are a lot of settlements, population increase, buildings, concretization. So all that came out in that report. So that report, now after a decade, we are supposed to repeat it. And then we will come to know how much of the knowledge, the perception, the diversity that we have lost. So we are at it now. So now you can see in this slide, population is 1.3 crores, Bangalore today by 2021. So at the rate of, the growth rate is 3.35%. So the carrying capacity, I will just show you the next slide.
Next slide.
Next slide, if somebody is, next slide, please. Yes. So this is the small, to bring you all the scenario of Bangalore. You see the population of our country, that is in India, the density is 473 persons per square meter. What about Bengaluru? Bengaluru, urban. I am talking about only urban. So it is same with other cities in Bangalore, in the country. So it is 5,967 persons per square kilometer. How are we living now? We are all now in apartments. We have grown horizontally. Now we are growing vertically, and there is a crunch or challenges that we are facing: breathing space, green spaces, play spaces. There are no playgrounds. Like one lake that we visited recently, where there are lake apartments, lake view apartment, 1,000 houses, very posh apartment, but that lake has become like a sewage toilet, because all these sewage pipes are dug into the water body. And the children cannot go out and play. It is because of the odor problem, stinking. And they cannot open their windows. They spend more money on room refresheners than on food. Even the food, the jewelry they wear is changing, the color is changing because of the emissions from this kind of growth. This is growth, the increase in population, lifestyle. So what has happened now in Bangalore? You can just compare. We're supposed to be 473 persons in per square kilometer, but now we are more than 5,000. So it is, you can imagine what will happen in future if we don't take care, if we don't involve ourselves individually, every person, whatever is possible. This coming together collectively and talking, deciding, planning itself is one of the best move. It's one of the best practice that your institute has arranged. This is what I feel each one of us should involve and feel like where we are up to. So that coming to another very important point, the number of trees in Bengaluru is about, you can see, I think all of you can see the slides. Yeah, 14,74,000 trees for the population of 1.3. So that means one tree only 7% can share. So what is that sharing of 7%, one tree? See, everybody has to breathe. You breathe 7 to 8 liters per minute, 11,000 liters per day. So oxygen, 20% oxygen, out of which 5% will be absorbed. If there is no oxygen supply, all of us have realized during Corona episode. Everyone know now today what is the importance of oxygen. If there is no breathing space, oxygen, suffocation, people die of failure of lungs because there is no oxygen supply. It is related to heart. So what is happening? 7 persons sharing one tree, exhaling oxygen. Because trees will take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. How much oxygen? So the well-being of human well-being that you showed in the beginning by planting trees. So how many of us plant tree and take care of it, nurture it? We have seen planting trees, 1,000, 1 lakh, Laksha Riksha, Koti Riksha. But how, where, who will take care of it? As an institute, you are spreading the message, plant a tree, nurture it. Not planting alone will solve this problem. So at present, we are supposed to have 33% of green space. Do we have? We do not have. especially in cities like ours. So at least a minimum of 1.113 per person is required to live happily without any damage to your organs. Without oxygen, you cannot be healthy. So let us only think about how to improve that oxygen level in the atmosphere, in your surroundings. Next slide. Yeah. So Bangalore has grown already, I told you. It has grown, and now we have 200 and next slide. Previous slide. 248 wards. From 198, 248. Now, how to give them all the facilities? Oxygen, particularly, water, breathable air, all other things. What is happening to our agriculture sector in cities? City agriculture has gone down. Because of that, what are the impact on environment? Later slides. Next slide. We understood now what is the importance of green spaces. Green space means it is your health, well-being. Next slide. Now you can see this Bangalore map. You can see the forest area, green. It is only scattered, very, very small area here and there, not even in the central Bangalore. The central Bangalore, I told you, was green. Now it's brown. We had a pentagon shape starting from Kapan Park, Palace grounds. Palace had 500 acre of forest land. All of you have seen Palace grounds. And that 500 acre was green. Kapan Park, then Lal Bagh. So this in the middle was a green patch, which is now changed. Per day, more than 500 vehicles will go in Palace ground and come out. More than that. Because we have sat there day and night to record how many vehicles go in and come, how many temporary structures after clearing the greenery for accommodating our lifestyle. So how to make it sustainable is the question. We can't go on blaming growing, population is increasing, but then we should live in harmony with the nature. That is the today's slogan. So what can be done? So the forest area, what you are seeing, patches, small green one, and some industrial areas are there. You are also sitting in an industrial area, but still yours is a green belt. According to me, it's a green space because I have my environment station, monitoring station in this metro. This metro, what is here? I have a station which is recording the air quality, particulate matter, and you are just behind it. And I heard the land is actually yours for the metro. Metro is a public transportation. It is good, sustainable. But at the same time, we have to see the environmental impact and correct it. So next slide, please. And you can see the urban sprawl in the next slide. No, next slide. Now let us see how many parks and how many green spaces are there in Bangalore. Totally there are 1,288 parks in Bangalore maintained by BBMP. And some of the parks are not maintained, at least 1,110 are maintained. But still, we have seen the carbon sinking potential, carbon sinking potential of these green spaces. Keeping a green space like a lawn is not sufficient. You should have woody trees so that there is a lot of carbon sinking, sequestering capacity and giving out, exhaling oxygen for the society, for the environment. Next slide. So this is what I said, how the central Bangalore is changing slowly. Next slide. And see, today we are full, it is brown, green to brown. And so we have to start now thinking about having this green space back. How? Where? Agroforestry. We have now started talking about agroforestry. I have seen so many houses, roof gardens. We have estimated how much of environmental benefits because of the roof gardens. And in the People Biodiversity Register, we have recorded how many people have medicinal plants in their houses. Most of the common ailments, they will treat in their own house, like tulsi, doddapatre. There's so many medicines. We have recorded indigenous knowledge with the people who are living in Bangalore. That too, the people who are living here from past 30 years and above, they have collected this kind of plants and the treatment, medicinal plants. Next slide. Yeah, so this is about that oxygen I was telling you. You know, a mature tree can absorb carbon dioxide at the rate of 48 pounds per year. So planting tree is one of the best way to reduce this impact of climate change, and it releases enough of oxygen to support 2 human beings. And an average adult human oxygen consumption, I told you, rate is 0.84 kg per day, and that is 1.85 lb per day. An average adult at rest, and he exhales 7 to 8 liters of air per minute. See, you know, small children and the sports person, they breathe in more of air. They breathe and inhale and exhale. So if the air is contaminated, then his or the child lungs are affected first. So that I will come later.
Next.
So next slide. So now this carbon stock in biomass due to green land converted to other land since 1991, it is recorded, and you can see in 2000 it actually reduced drastically. In 11, after a decade, it increased carbon stock. So carbon stock, you are actually increasing by compensatory plantation. Some of the industries, even you are promoting the research on compensatory plantation. But what plantation? Compensatory plantation, green belt. So there's a lot of procedures. What procedure methodology should be followed to have a very big carbon sink? So that also, next slide I will show. See, the greenhouse gas emissions from afforestation, all other activities are actually, you know, emissions are decreasing. The activities are increasing. Next slide. Now this, coming to this carbon footprint of our country in the year 2020, that is by 2020, you can see this 1.73 for the country, and you see Bangalore, it is 1.90. So the footprint is very high for in Bangalore compared to the country. Next slide. Yeah, so we have been recording the air quality in the air monitoring station and weather monitoring station at the department and at several locations, the traffic junctions. And we have been, this year, recorded highest temperature that all of you witnessed. And of course, it didn't go highest like some of the places like Vijaypura and Raichur and Delhi also, it crossed 40. And ours was, the highest was around 37, 36, 37. Next slide. And the relative humidity also plays a major role. Relative humidity goes below 20, then we have health issues. Your sore throat during winter season, I mean during December, January, most of the time you feel the throat is dried up and there's a cracks and the blood, small blood vessels and the organisms in the air will start growing here and you have the sore throat, the water you drink, all that problems arise if the relative humidity goes below 20. But we had a relative humidity almost nearing 95, 98 this month, last May. So this is what we have to now talk about. Only 1 year already you have introduced. What is the climate action we are going to do? Nature action, pollution action. Next slide. So all of us know about the SDGs and the Millennium Development Goals. And now we are, our state, Karnataka is the first state to implement National Education Policy 2020. That I think we feel proud and we are working towards that, and the syllabus is framed, we implemented at the undergraduate level, and the syllabus is framed in such a way that there is a multidisciplinary degree, like how you are having a post-graduation, PG, diploma, which is skill-based, the job opportunities. Job opportunities is one of the sustainable development goal. That I heard just when I came, director was talking to me about what is the course that you are having, PG diploma. That is what we are trying to include in our new education policy, skill development. 1 year, only 1 year BSc, 4 year BS, 1 year he will do and he can get job. So you, here in this institute, you are already, campus appointment. Before you get result, I think you will be getting the job, the way it's running. So this is what is required for our new national education policy, which is a sustainability and our future generation. Future is our future leaders. So I think you are well taken it and you're doing that. And this SDGs, our state government also implemented in par with the national SDG. And by 2030, we are supposed to achieve all these sustainable goals. So we are trying very hard and we should be very quick. We are already in 2022 and we are left with only another 6 years. So how we are going to go about it? Next slide. Yeah, next slide. Next, this goals, all of you know, 17 goals. Next slide. Yeah, so now coming to this loss of water bodies and its impact on climate change. Next slide. Bengaluru, water demand and supply. By today, our population, already I told you what is the population. The demand is 1,950 MLD and the supply is only 1,470 and the shortfall already is 480 MLD. So by 2030, what will be our shortfall? Our shortfall will be 780. You will not get water, drinking water. We have to go for recycling. Recycling, reusing, water, wastewater. You know Rishabhavati, I will show you how Rishabhavati is carrying how much MLD of wastewater and what is happening. We have to now take it seriously about this treatment of wastewater and what happens to the plants, agriculture, which is grown in this wastewater. Next slide. So this is, all of you know, we have two major rivers in Bengaluru. The one, this is Arkavati Valley. It starts in Nandi. Nandi, a small pond. If you go visit, you can see this. This is the beginning. This is a Arkavati, which is origin. Next slide. Yeah. So it runs across our Bengaluru, and then it goes to via Bengaluru city central. It will come. And then it runs even in our campus, 1 kilometer stretch, Mysore Road, then Ramnagara, and then it will finally reach Bhairamangala, one of the largest lake in Bangalore, where there are 40 to 48 villages with agriculture are depending upon this water. So, if you have seen this water, you know the quality. Where she's gone underground sometimes. She emerges out. Next slide, I'll show you. You see how it is polluted. In the beginning, it is clear. And after running through some of the villages where there is mining activities, where there are industrial activities, the color of the water changes. Next slide. And this is how the water quality, river, she is becoming brown, muddy water. Next slide, polluted. And there is another river which is originating behind this Basungudi Bull Temple. You know, a big bull, Dodda Ganapati, in that area, people coming from there have seen this big bull. Behind big bull is the small pond like. That is the origin. If there is a small window behind this bull, you earlier, some 40 years back, we used to peep through that window and see a water body, small water, where that is the origin. But today you don't see anything there. You see concrete buildings. Then where is the origin? But still she comes out and then she will run via Mysore Road and wash the feet of Hanuman, where Gali Anjaneya, and then run through the Mysore Road, even along our university, and then join with Arkavati, both the Rishabhavati and Arkavati, and then they will go to this river, I told you, this lake, Bhairamangala, people, all that vegetables that is coming to your KR market are grown in this water, wastewater. Next slide. See, this is the quality of the Rishabhavati river water. You can see what pollutant are not there. We are tired of doing research on this, but we do have technology that can purify this water. But I think we have to join hands. What we have joined today is actually is the sustainable thinking, that best practice. Next slide. Yeah, so this is how it runs, and you can see the froth and that small canal that is running to the villages, and all the villages, farmers are suffering there because their crops grown there are not having any rate. The rate of that will not be purchased for what is sold in the market. And we are sending the waste there, and it is coming back to you in the form of vegetables and food. So what we give it to nature, she will give it back to us. Next slide. So this emissions from this wastewater treatment plants, there's a lot of problem in the treatment plants in our city. So we have 15 treatment plants, but 50% of the water only is treated. There is no full complete treatment. So there are emissions like methane emission, nitrous oxide emissions, and when you walk or go via this river, Rishbhavati, you can feel that smell. Just 1 second you can get that smell. That's because of hydrogen sulfide, which is emitted from the wastewater, which is very bad for the health, air quality. Next slide. Yeah, so then we have developed some of the green technologies to treat this wastewater. So you can see all that is in red is the raw water sample wastewater quality, and then treated with activated carbon. Just I was talking to the director and deputy director about the bagasse. The bagasse they are going to recycle, reuse. So the same thing we have used here, sugarcane bagasse, for converting it into activated carbon and then using it as a filter membrane, and which can filter, and you can see the quality. And then now we have developed another ozonization, advanced oxidation technology that also will purify the water, and the algal treatment, phytoremediation. You have heard about phytoremediation is one of the green technology that also we have used. Next slide. So this is the algae chlorella that we have planted in one of the wastewater small pond that we have in the campus, where all the hostel wastewater goes there. And this is the algae is treating, and you can see visually you can see the clarity of the water. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yes. So this is the charcoal, activated charcoal under SCM. We have taken photograph. And next slide. This we have done some more research on this. This is before and after, just to show you what will be the color. Color is removed. Next slide. And now coming to another very important public health that contribution from the researchers that we have done is at the Kumbh Mela. You know, Kumbh Mela at Allahabad, Prayagraj, in 2019, March, that is January to March, almost 6 months. Next slide. So this was the, more than 5 crore people gathered there. It's a very big public gathering and one of the largest sanitation drive. We have prepared the advanced oxidation technology to clean more than 2 lakh toilets and 25,000 urinals. And this Kumbh was declared as odor-free Kumbh. Next slide. Next slide. So this is how it was. Water and 2 crore people on Makar Shankranti, and there's not a single, little smell or that obnoxious smell in this place. There's so many people gathered, and an advanced oxidation technology really helped, and it's a green technology and clean technology. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. See, this is the people taking their bath in that river Ganga, taking their dip, and 70 lakhs on that particular day. Paush Purnima. Next slide. So this is all tested there, and the scientific team declared it as a odor-free Kumbh. But this is the one service towards the public health, human. Next slide. Next slide. And this is how the temporary toilets and how the cleaning was taking place. That too, a largest gathering. Next slide. Sadhus having their own places. I think if you have visited, you know how the tents are made. Next slide. So our leaders are also there, and everybody had come, and the water was very clean. Next slide. At the dashboard, gave the report as 98% toilets were odor-free. So this is a small contribution towards the environment and public health. So this is what we have to think. This preparation of this solution is very easy. Similarly, there are so many things that we can do it for the students, and we can be of some help to the society and the environment. Next slide. So this also was used for treating the leachate wastewater, dumped solid waste leachate. Next slide. And all the newspapers in that time. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, so fluoride is another problem that we are facing in Karnataka and also Orissa and all other parts of the country. People are having that fluorosis, because of that, the color change, the color of the teeth and bones. So we have a very simple indigenous technology using a tamarind shell. Next slide. Next slide. This is a paper article. So this is the places where the red ones show where the fluoride is affected in groundwater. People drinking in this water in that villages are affected. Next slide. So this is the small technology where the tamarind, I think all of you know, that shell is used, powdered, and then used like a filter, tied it in a muslin cloth, dipped in a bucket of water, and then it will remove the fluoride content. So how much of powder, how much all that research. Next slide. So this is the a fabrication of a low cost filter to treat the water using agricultural waste. So agricultural waste is recycled so that we are treating the water in a sustainable manner. Tamarind shell is used and the activated carbon to treat the water. Next slide. Next slide. So this is another very big issue that we are facing in cities. Drinking water pipes. Drinking water pipes, when it goes underground, and we don't know what is happening to that pipe. And even the toilet pipes, sometimes if it is not planned or very old pipes, see, some old hospitals, government hospitals, we found that 75-year-old pipes all cracked and rusted. So once it gets rusted, there will be a crack. So if the drinking water pipe and the rusted pipes of the toilet are running parallelly, there are chances of transfer, cross-contamination from the toilet, the enteric microorganism, Enterobacteriaceae, enteric, that causes enteric diseases like typhoid or diarrhea, and so many, there will be a cross-contamination. Therefore, in the cities, central, there is always this kind of an issue where we find some of the hospitals, sometimes the people will be admitted with this kind of issues, from where it comes. So this is the problem. So the pipes should be very advanced pipes and long time use, durability. Next slide. So this is how within the water pipes, when the water pipes, drinking water pipes, these bacteria, that rod-shaped ones, will be growing like a film, slimy film. And even if you flush, it won't go. So you need a special treatment for the water pipes. So Treating wastewater is one. Treating drinking water is one formula. But killing these, clearing this biofilm is another formula. So this is all the health, environment and health. So we need to take care of all these things. Next slide. So this is how it starts growing within your drinking water pipes, like orangish, white, shining growth, which is Pseudomonas and other organisms, which are opportunistic microorganisms. Next slide. So like that, it will start rusting, eating the pipes. Next slide. So this is how the drinking water status, the quality of different regions given in the report. Next slide. So lakes, I already told you, we have lost so many lakes and we have rejuvenated and we have now 200 plus lakes, but still I think we need to do a lot, adopt some of the lakes and take care of our water bodies so that the regional climate depends upon the water bodies, that water river that we have. Next slide. So this is the status of our Bangalore lakes. Next slide. Dumping, washing vehicles, and they think it is any water body is a dump yard for everyone. So the phosphate content 40% in our Bangalore lakes. 40% from where phosphate comes? From our detergents and soaps. So every day we use detergent and soaps, phosphate is there. The phosphate, it goes to the sewage, enters the water bodies. And what happens if the phosphate increases? Next slide. This is what happens in lakes. Death, fish kill. Because there is a lot of phosphate is entered and there's a algal bloom. Algae has grown, poisonous algae, that thick mat of algae, and the fishes, there is depletion of oxygen level. Next slide. So life is affected in water bodies. Next slide. Next. Just see, this is the scenario that we have. We need to take care of all these issues. Next slide. Religious activities. So this is another big issue we are having in Bangalore. Not only Bangalore, I am only giving Bangalore as an example. Most of the cities, this is the problem. Next slide. Next. Yes, solid waste. Solid waste, today we are generating per day more than almost 6,000 tons per day. But we are managing only 2,500 and odd. What about the rest of the waste? Waste is spread all over the city. It is wherever there is empty site, this waste will be there on the roads, on either side. Next slide. So this is how in the map showing where all we have the waste management centers. So most of the waste managing places notified are towards the south. In the north, only one or two we have. So this much of water is waste is being managed and rest of the waste is not managed. Next slide. Next slide. So now what is the main problem that we are facing from this dump yards? You know, in Mandur landfill site, it generates almost more than 600 tons are being dumped there. Now it is closed. And the methane generated, you can see the quantity. 284 tons are generated there. Whether we can use these dump yards as a power generation, that is what is being discussed in the ministry also. So thermal power plants are attached now to the waste dump yards, so that all these waste, 6,000 tons per day, can be, because we have power shortage. So that can be useful, recycled and reused. Even in Hyderabad, there is a very big industry, very successfully attached to a dump yard, and the thermal power plant is coming up very nicely. In Delhi also, it is there. So this is the quantity that we are also having generated in these dump yards and landfills, this methane generated. Next slide. And you see the methane and nitrous oxide emissions from some of these composting centers. We have KCDC, Karnataka State Compost Development Corporation. Earlier, there was a lot of issues, and the leachate was entering into the next nearby Somasandra. Palya was there, that lake, Haralukunte Lake, and that lake has become like a sewage pond. And then it was closed. Now again, they have started the Karnataka Compost Development Corporation. Now the work is going on, so we have to manage our own waste. The message is, if everyone manages, segregate at the source and manage, we will not have this kind of a problem, the climate changing, regional climate change because of the wastes. Next slide. So you can see Paura Karmikas working without any gadgets, without any protection. This is another human contribution that we need to address. Scientists, we should see that they get their rights and they get their safety. Next slide. So incinerating waste is also another issue we are facing, emissions. Next slide. And burning solid waste, also there are greenhouse gas emissions. Next slide. Now our projections from our research is by 2025, the total emissions will be 29,000 gigagrams. And the sinking potential will be trees, number of trees will be 0.449. And the net emissions after sinking will be 29,176. So the emissions are going to increase if you do not plant trees. Next slide. Next slide. So air quality, I already told you we are recording this air quality near industrial area, traffic junctions and metro station. Next slide. And already this was explained how we breathe in 8 liters of air, and if that air is contaminated, like corona, recently we suffered, and the entire lungs, the particulate matter, the particulate size of 10 micrometer, when it enters through your breathing in, you will cough it out. But if it is lesser than 10 micrometer size, 2.5 micron size, it will go to the upper part of the lung, and then it will start coexistence of microorganism. Like a nutrition, it will start occupying and you get suffocated, congestion, and this is the problem. So therefore, we need to see that air quality is taken care of. It is your right. It's our right to breathe clean air. Next slide. This bioaerosols are the bacteria, fungi, and viruses that are there in your breathable air. This is the record that we have taken from 2013 till today. How much of bioaerosol, say for example, this room, how much of bacteria, virus, and fungi are there in your breathable air? It will be going in and coming out. Because your immune system is strong, we are not affected. The minute your immunity is affected, these organisms, all these organisms will affect you. So we have to be nature friendly, relax in nature, yoga, and improve your immune system. This record shows, just to say, bioaerosols are there around you, especially in toilets. I'll show you that slide. Next slide. These are the organisms. It will come in winter, pre-monsoon, monsoon. Different microorganisms will be in your breathable air. Next slide. Next slide. So this is recorded near a microbial pollution in dump yards. Next slide. In KR market, wherever there is crowded places, there will be microbial pollution. Therefore, if you are weak, if you have fallen sick, you are not allowed to go in near the crowded place. Then it becomes more secondary infection. Next slide. Next slide. So this is the bioaerosol, bacterial pollution that is being recorded near the froth, near the lakes. Next slide. If you breathe in, you feel very cool and nice, no moisture, but then you will get infection, ear infection, upper respiratory infection. Next slide. Yeah, this is how the bioaerosols will come to the surface in your breathable air. Next slide. This is Belandur tank. You see the froth. It looks beautiful, but it's the most contaminated, very dangerous. Next slide. So there is association between dust particle and the organisms. So if this is increasing, bacteria also will increase. So we should be in a dust-free place. Next. This is the same thing. Next slide. So this is another invention for air purifier indoor, especially for the ICU or hospitals, because inside, indoors, there will be a lot of pollution. That is bacterial pollution, fungal, all these places where auditorium, classrooms, we have studied. Library is the one which will have more of microorganisms, fungal organisms. So that breathing, sitting in library for hours, if it is not dusted properly, then we will have problem. Next slide. Library also tested. Next slide. So not only microorganisms, but the toxins that are coming out from these microorganisms, we call it endotoxins. That causes a lot of health impacts. Next slide. Next slide. This is what we have developed, which will absorb the air, circulate, purify the air and give it out. Next slide. Next slide. This is the bioremediation of bioaerosol. Next slide. This is the one which was designed, where the air purifier can be kept in the desktop, especially for the hospitals and ICU, for the doctors who are working in the forefront for treating us. Next slide. This is another herbal sanitizer. We have used the arshina. Arshina means turmeric and neem, both to extract it for preparing a hand sanitizer. Because if you buy a hand sanitizer, we don't know what chemicals are there. People marketing, they will add so many chemicals. We are not aware. But here it is a herbal and it's very clean and very cost effective. This can be done in the laboratory by our lab students also can do this. Next slide. Because we are using this same thing for our surface sterilization and service. Nothing will happen to your skin. Next. Next slide. Pollution in traffic area is because of road dust, industrial dust, vehicular dust. Next slide. Another few minutes.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, this I will complete. So metro, I told you we are recording the air quality before metro and after metro or during metro. Definitely it has given a good result for the air quality. And the vehicular number is reduced because people go and park in the parking area and then take metro, the number of vehicles are reduced in our report. We are given a report on this. Next slide. This is a report that came in paper. Next slide. So these are the benefits of mass transportation, which I think we need to support such projects where mass transportation is taking place. Next slide. Now, biodiversity of Bangalore, what is left? I just show you the pictures. Just relax and see the picture and we will complete today's lecture. Bangalore is still having hope. We have all these green spaces where we have recorded the carbon sinking potential of all these parks. There's so many parks still there. Next slide. This is our Jnana Bharati campus, Bangalore University. We have 840 acres of mini forest. We call it as biodiversity park. And this is a riparian vegetation which is running across the campus. And we are sinking 64 tons of carbon per hectare. 64 tons of sinking. So all various parks and how much they sink carbon and how much oxygen is given out. So Bengaluru city that is growing is, I think, depending upon some of these forest area, like our Bangalore University, which is giving oxygen for the growing city. People still surviving because of such places. So this is that peacock, Bailakare Peacock Sanctuary. So this is again Bangalore University. And the credits. So the calculation of credits as 900 rupees, 910 per ton of carbon. If we are sinking 1 ton of carbon, say your campus may be sinking, say what I saw, 20 tons of carbon, then you calculate. So this is one thing, which gives credit, carbon credit. So this also has been done to bring an awareness to people, like institutions. If you have a carbon credit, then it is serving the environment, and we can live in harmony with the environment also. And we benefit from that oxygen, which is very important for our life. I think I have taken more of time, and thank you all for listening. And these are all the biodiversity that we are recorded in Bangalore. Some of the frog species are lost. Still, this was recorded, and now again, after 5 years, we need to record what is lost, what is still there. So as of now, we have all these. We don't have the original fishes, but we have the exotic ones. And this method, I told you, when you're having a compensatory plantation, green belt for industries, we have to follow one methodology. So we have done research on 2 methodology. One is Miyawaki, another is PIT method, and compared both. And we felt for a green belt, Miyawaki method is best. It sinks more carbon. And how some of the industries we have studied the green belt of that industry and given the report. Next slide. Carbon stock and credit. So thank you all. Thank you very much. Thanks. I thank the organization for inviting me for this collaboration and discussion. Anything we will discuss, and I will be very happy to contribute something for the institute from my side, if I am of some help in enhancing the research. What already you are doing is a really good research, but we can also collaborate. So that is what is required, that we should take a oath today, World Environment Day, that we don't stop celebrating only one day and forget about it. We will continue this collaboration, and we will work together. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation from you and very interesting one, ma'am, who hold us to all together 1.5 hours for us. Just with one example of Bangalore city, you showed us how much we have damaged the environment and what we are going to give to our future. And this is the time you told us that each one of us should introspect ourselves to see how much we can improve the oxygen level and what we can. And you told us to make this day adopt a zero tolerance towards environmental damage. Thank you very much. With this, I also request our Joint Director, Dr. Manoj to please give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mamta. It's my pleasure to give vote of thanks on behalf of Liberty. First of all, I'd like to thank Professor Nandini for sparing her Sunday morning to visiting Liberty and educating us from her vast experience. She has, as Mamta pointed out, she has highlighted various environmental challenges, not only for Bangalore city, but as a country as a whole also. And ma'am, you have educated us on the several environmental aspects with your engaging talk and then with several eye-opening facts which we were not aware. So we thank you for all of this, and also highlighting what are some of the potential technology which we can use to address these challenges. And ma'am, you rightly pointed out that this should not be only a one-day show. Like only planting is not enough. We should also take care of those plants and also think of the environment in each and every day. And I also like to thank all of the participants, the offline participants as well as online participants for actively participating in this World Environment Day week. Man, we are celebrating throughout this week. On Tuesday, we had this SUSTA campaign focusing on debris removal, plastic debris removal. Then there was a student essay competition, slogan competition. So I thank all the participants for your active participation. And I also like to thank our director, Dr. Shakti Singh Chauhan, for his encouragement and wholehearted support and giving us direction that how we can organize this week all together. And last, I'd like to thank a big thank you to the organizing team of this World Environment Day celebration led by Dr. Mamta and his her team member. So thank you so much, Mamta and your team for organizing such a wonderful event. Thank you. Now I would like to request our director to present a memento to our guests.
Thank you very much. Thank you one and all for joining for this occasion. May I request all of you to please have a refreshments which is arranged in our canteen. Enjoy and have a nice day.